Broadcast permission for the following program is made possible by the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Man, said Mark Twain, is the only animal that blushes, or needs to. And, of course, looking at it realistically, we have a great deal to blush about. According to Twain, our assorted stupidities come in all sizes and degrees of severity. But the greatest of these is self-importance. And not just the self-importance of individual people, but of entire nations. Look at some of the diplomatic games we play, and how easily they become serious matters of life and death.
I'm sorry, Major. I can do nothing.
But, Your Excellency, the young man is innocent.
I'm afraid he must be sentenced to 10 years in Siberia.
But, that's the same as a death sentence. Can't you help him, Your Excellency?
Please, Major. I sympathize with his youth and his ignorance. If only he had committed a crime like murder or arson or robbery or rape, we could get him off somehow. But to come into this country without a passport? Why, even the Tsar would hesitate to pardon him.
Our mystery drama, The Russian Passport, was adapted from the Mark Twain classic story, especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dann, and stars Robert Morse. I'll be back shortly with Act One. We could say that Mark Twain was ahead of his time. We could also say that times never change, insofar as certain basics are concerned. Thus, the humorous sermons Mark Twain preached against red tape, bureaucracy, the timidity of public officials, the suspiciousness between countries, are just as timely as ever. For instance, here we are in a giant beer saloon in the Friedrichstrasse in Berlin. Oh, in the year 1890. And over there, near the window, are about a dozen or so American students. And they are obviously holding a party for one of their number. And now, the party seems to be breaking up, as one by one the young men take their leave. And finally, only two are left at the table.
But why go home now, Parrish? Why?
Well, the semester starts at Yale in less than 3 weeks, Ned.
I wish I had your chance to travel, to see the world. I wish I had your money.
I'm, homesick.
Homesick?
Yes. I'll make a confession, Ned. I was never away from home before.
You get used to it.
No, every day I get more and more lonesome.
Well, then why'd you make this trip?
It was a gift from my Uncle William. And you don't turn down gifts from Uncle William.
It's a pretty expensive gift. Why would he want to give it to you?
Well, he said he hoped it would make a man out of me.
Huh? What do you mean by that?
Well, Uncle William was a trooper in Sheridan's cavalry, and later on he fought the Sioux under General Miles. And then he went to California, and he made a fortune in a gold mine. And he doesn't think you're a man unless you're forever shooting someone or knocking him down. So you see, he's always been disappointed in me. I'm very shy. I don't know how to make friends.
Well, bottoms up, Alfred. You'll feel better.
No, I won't. I'll feel worse. You know, that stuff just goes to my head. That's another thing Uncle William has against me. You just can't do anything manly, Alfred. Alfred? Why, a better name for you would be Miss Nancy.
The best way to get even, Alfred, is to have a good time.
I just hate to travel alone.
Well, why?
Well, I'm scared.
Scared. At least see St. Petersburg before you leave.
I'd like to, but...
I'll tell you, Alfred, there is no city in the world like it.
Well, that's what everyone says. And, you know, I want to go, but I just can't go alone.
It's up to you, Alfred.
I already bought my ticket for Paris. I'm leaving tonight.
Well, I better be getting along. I have a lecture. Here, let me get the bill.
No, please. I'd like to treat it. It was so good to meet you and the rest of the boys to talk to Americans again.
Thanks, Alfred. And hey, believe me, there is nothing to be scared about all the time.
Well, maybe not.
Yeah. Have a good trip. I'll look you up when I get back to the States.
Of course, I'd never see him again. I'm not the kind of fellow people want to be friends with. I don't know what's the matter with me. I'm scared of my own shadow. I'm just afraid to be away from home.
Permit me to introduce myself. Major Tom Jackson, United States Army, retired. I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. Mr. Alfred Parrish, you are about to make the greatest mistake of your life.
I am?
And it makes me desolate to think you would cut your travel short when you really want to see St. Petersburg.
Well,
You do want to see St. Petersburg. Do you realize you're practically within sight of the place now?
I know, but...
Reconsider, Alfred, reconsider. St. Petersburg, a wonderland in the winter. The River Neva is frozen solid. Can you believe they build roads across that ice?
Roads?
Not just wagon roads, railroads.
On the ice?
On the ice. And they string lights across it.
I'd give anything to go, but it's no use. You see, I'm a person who just can't travel alone.
Alone? You won't be going alone. Whatever gave you that idea? I'm going with you.
You? You're going?
My boy, I shall show you St. Petersburg as no foreigner has ever seen it. I know the place as well as I know my own hometown in America. Ask anybody. They all know me there.
But, you're too kind. You see, I couldn't inconvenience you.
Oh, it's no inconvenience at all. I was going there tonight anyhow.
But I can't go. I mean, look at these. I mean, here are my tickets. I'm booked through to Paris.
No, yes, so you are.
And they don't let you change your tickets, and I can't afford to lose the money. And this 500-mark note it's all the cash I have, so I couldn't. I mean, you see, it's impossible.
You must never say impossible to your friend, Major Tom Jackson. Here, give me those tickets.
Wait, what are you doing?
They'll change these tickets for me. They all know me at the railroad station. Everybody knows me. Now, you just sit right where you are. And better let me have that 500-mark bill, too. We, may have to pay a bit extra for your new reservation.
But, Major... But he was already out the door. It was all so sudden, it was so incredible, so impossible. It could only happen to me. I wanted to shout, "Stop that man!" But my lungs, they were empty. I wanted to run after him, but my legs were paralyzed. This man, this sharper, this confidence operator, he's stolen my money, my tickets. I've got to catch him, but I can't even get out of this place. I don't have the money to pay my bill. I'll have to explain all this to the waiter.
Ja.
That man who was just here, you understand?
Nichts verstehen.
All right. My money, my tickets.
Was ist?
I'm trying to tell you.
Sprechen Sie durch?
No, I am trying to tell you that he took my money and my tickets.
Ja. Sehr gut.
The waiter just shrugged his shoulders and walked away. And I didn't know what to do or where to go or what kind of a fool I was to allow a stranger to just walk off with my... And suddenly, his hand was on my arm, the Major.
Quickly! There's not a moment to lose. Come.
But where are we?
I'll explain on the way. Hurry, right out the door. Let's go.
But where?
Cab! Hi there, cabby! Oh, confound these people. I was delayed at the ticket window. A new man there. He didn't know me. Oh, here you are. Right here, cabby. In you go, Alfred, my boy.
You still haven't told me.
All in good time. Russian consulate, cabby, and let 'em fly. New man at the window didn't know me. Wouldn't make the exchange. Too irregular.
Well, then...
I had to hunt up an old friend, the station master himself, the grand high mogul. All right, whoop along, cabby. Don't let him go to sleep on us now. Well, it all took time, but it's all right now. Your luggage is rechecked, fare, ticket, sleeper, all exchanged. Got the documents in my pocket.
But...
What?
I left the beer hall without paying my bill.
Oh, that's all right. They know me. Everybody knows me. I'll square it for you next time I'm in Berlin. Push him along, cabby. Push along.
He was a big, powerful-looking man, just like Uncle William. But unlike Uncle William, he had such an honest, open face. How could I have even thought of mistrusting him? Suddenly, I felt much better. Maybe some of his sublime self-confidence might rub off on me. And so, feeling better than I had ever felt in my life, I leaned back and enjoyed the ride to the Russian consulate. But we must have arrived there too late because the guard at the gate tried to stop us. However, the major merely said,
That's all right, Sergeant. I'm Major Jackson. They all know me inside.
At least that's what I think he said, because he said it in Russian. Anyhow, he just led me past the soldier, up the steps and into the building. There was a clerk sitting at a desk, and the major began to talk to him. I couldn't follow a word of the conversation because it was all in Russian.
Impossible. It is after hours.
Oh, come now. You can surely visa this young man's passport for St. Petersburg.
But, my dear sir, I am not authorized.
Then fetch the consul.
But the consul has gone.
And he'll be back?
Tomorrow morning.
Thunder.
Major, is everything all right?
Just fine, Alfred, my boy. Just fine. Well, now, look here, my man. I'm Major Jackson. He knows me. Everybody knows me. Just visa the passport for me yourself.
What?
Well, there's nothing to it. Just visa the passport yourself.
Oh, no. That's irregular. That's no.
But our train leaves tonight.
I couldn't. I'm a married man.
Everybody knows me.
I have children. Ask me to do anything, but not to visa a passport.
No, eh? I'll tell you what we'll do then. Here's the stamps and the fee. Have him visa it in the morning and send it after us by mail. He'll do that, I know. Well,
he may. Perhaps he may.
May? He will. He knows me. Everybody knows me.
I'll tell him what you said, but, you realize that you will get to the frontier 24 hours before the passport will arrive, and you cannot spend 24 hours at the frontier waiting for it. There are no accommodations.
Who said we're going to wait at the frontier? Send the passport along to St. Petersburg.
But they will stop him at the frontier if he has no passport. They won't let him into Russia.
Very well. Very well. The chief inspector knows me. Everybody does. I'll be responsible for this young man.
Oh, the penalty for being in Russia without a passport is 10 years in Siberia.
Damnation.
Major, did I hear you say damnation? Is something the matter?
No. Oh, it's all right, Alfred. I promised you St. Petersburg. I will get you St. Petersburg. Now, look here, my man. You just get the consul to visa that passport and mail it to St. Petersburg first thing.
But
Don't worry. I can fix it. They all know me there. All the authorities, everybody. Alfred, say goodnight to this very kind gentleman.
I don't know Russian.
That's all right. Say it in English.
Good night, sir. Major, did you take care of everything?
Let's be off at the train station, Alfred. You don't have a worry in the world.
Somehow, things cannot possibly run as smoothly as the Major would have us, or even himself, believe. But why can't they? Well, we're about to board the Berlin-St. Petersburg Luxury Express, where further intrigue and excitement await us. And people will be around to inquire about that passport in just a few moments, when I shall return with Act 2. Who and what is Major Tom Jackson? This big, bluff, and charming man who seems to sweep all objections aside, and whose slogan seems to be, Everybody knows me. Well, no matter, because at this time, he seems to be exactly what poor, shy, self-effacing, timid Alfred Parrish needs. Here they are on the luxury express bound from Berlin to St. Petersburg, at their ease in a beautifully appointed compartment, sipping expensive wines and enjoying all manner of delicacies. What a life, says Alfred Parrish. I never knew life could be so happy, so easy, so comfortable.
Yes, life I see now is a matter of who you happen to fall in with. If my Uncle William had been a man like Major Jackson, how different everything might have been. Well, maybe it's not too late now. For the very first time, I don't feel alone or friendless or unimportant, and what's more, I'm not even homesick.
My boy, look at yourself in the mirror. It proves my point.
What point, Major?
We advertise to the world exactly what we are. What does your face usually proclaim? Fear, uncertainty. Now, that won't do.
But there are times when I am afraid and uncertain.
Shouldn't that be your secret? Now, my boy, look in the mirror and smile. Just smile. That's it. Now, here's what I want you to say to yourself. I, Alfred Parrish, fear nothing and nobody.
Oh, but it isn't true.
Say it.
I, Alfred Parrish...
That's it.
I, Alfred Parrish, fear nothing and nobody.
There. You see? You see?
What?
Whose face is that in the mirror? Who is that cocky, confident, self-assured, important young man?
It can't be me.
But it is. It is.
But I don't feel confident.
Who's to know the difference? You see, to the rest of the world, you're a tiger.
Well,
That's my great gift. I've taught hundreds, thousands, how to become commanding personalities.
You have?
Oh, yes. Especially among the crowned heads of Europe.
You mean kings?
Oh, yes, sure. They know me. They all know me. Now, you take the Crown Prince of Austria. He has a very strong father, much like your Uncle William.
Oh.
And the Crown Prince of England. Why, he's a man of almost 50 and still under his mother's thumb. Well, I taught them the tricks. Yes, indeed. You got to show your colors. And if they aren't your true colors, who's to know better? Now, the trick is to look a person in the eye. All right, do it. Look me in the eye. Oh, but you have to hold your head up. See what it does for you when you hold your head up? Snap your fingers.
I never seemed able to get the knack of it.
That's no matter. Now say to me, my good man.
My good man?
Oh, no. Put some starch in it. As if you're doing me a favor by even talking to me. Now go ahead.
My good man.
Now you're getting the hang of it.
Well, hey, we seem to be slowing down.
Of course. We're just about at the Russian frontier.
You know, so much of what you say, it is so true. It's not really what you are. It's what other people think you are.
And what would you like to make people think you are?
Well, I would like to be treated with respect.
Such a little thing to ask. And you know how to get it?
No.
Easiest thing in the world. All you have to do is demand it. Oh, here we are. About to embark on a great new voyage of discovery for you, Alfred. Russia. Ancient, mysterious Russia.
Is this where they'll ask to see our passports?
Of course.
Well, come to think of it, when we were back at the consulate, the Russian consulate back there in Berlin?
Yes?
Well, I don't exactly remember your bringing my passport away from the consulate with you, but of course you did. I mean, you do have it, don't you?
No.
No.
No, it's, you see, it's coming by mail.
Coming by mail?
Certainly.
I have heard stories of what can happen to foreigners in Russia who do not have passports.
The chief inspector at the frontier knows me. I'll explain to him that your passport's en route. It'll be all right, you'll see.
Oh.
Now, just look in that mirror, Alfred. Let's see that cool, calm, clear-eyed look of confidence.
But I don't feel it.
Let's see it anyhow.
At the frontier, which was just a guardhouse and fence, everyone got off the train, and we waited while the slow-moving line inched toward the inspectors. My heart naturally was in my mouth, but I looked at the major, and he was so supremely confident I couldn't help but feel everything would have to be all right.
Now, you're not to worry. I said I'd make it all come out right, didn't I?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, there's no reason why you and I should stand out here freezing in this cold.
But we have to wait till we get to the head of the line.
You just stand here. I'll go up and explain matters to the chief inspector. We'll be sitting cozy and warm in our compartment in 3 shakes.
Major, is everything all right?
Damnation.
Well, what happened?
It's a new chief inspector, and I don't know him.
Oh, no. This is impossible. I'm not going...
Don't. Steady, lad, steady.
I don't have a passport.
I told you it'll be all right. Just trust the old major. This new inspector, he's as nearsighted as a shad. I watched him examine the other people's passports, and it's a fact.
But you don't...
Just listen. I'll go up, get my passport approved, and then I'll step over to the fence. You see over there?
Yeah.
Where those peasants are standing with their packs?
Yes.
Now, you just mosey up against that fence.
Oh, no.
And I'll slip you my passport right through the bars of the fence.
What are you saying?
Then you get on the regular inspection line. Hand it over and trust in Providence and the fact that the inspector has the eyesight of a shad. You'll pull through, never fear.
But the description on the passport...
What about it?
It is your description. It describes a man of 50, and I'm only...
That's all right. I told you the man has the eyes of a shad.
A shad.
He couldn't see the difference if his life depended on it.
But my life depends on
Don't
it.
you fret. It'll come out right as nails.
But when I hand him your passport...
You won't be handing him my passport. It'll be your passport.
What do you mean?
You'll hand it to him as if it's your passport. As if there can be absolutely no doubt. As if you're a man of importance, whereas he is just a flunky. Let him see all that in your face.
No, I can't do it.
You
can't.
must.
No, I don't have to. I can wait right here and take the next train back to Germany.
There won't be another train until tomorrow morning.
That's all right, I'll wait.
Where?
Right here.
What? Here?
Yes.
In this open field, in the snow, in the dead of winter? You know how cold it gets.
But I can't go any further. I don't have a passport.
But you do have a passport, old boy. Now, Alfred, please. It's easy as pie. Old Fisheye will just wave you in.
I don't know if I can go through with this.
Of course you can. Confidence, Alfred. Remember what I told you about confidence?
But how could I have confidence? I was in a daze. The major had moved up ahead. He had his passport examined, and now he sauntered over to the fence. He motioned for me to come forward, but I was in a daze. Somehow, I got to the fence, and the major pressed the passport into my hand, and then he was gone. I managed to get to the end of the line. Everybody was headed toward a tall, burly, bearded officer, the fiercest-looking man I'd ever seen in my life. He could even have frightened my Uncle William, and he kept shouting.
Sergeant!
Which I later found out meant enter. And then before I knew it, there was no one in front of him but me. And he held out a big, beefy hand for the passport, and before I knew it, he had snatched it from my grasp, and his eyes bored deep into mine. They were eyes that were filled with hard and pointy lights of ice and steel, and they didn't look like the eyes of a shad or any other fish either, but they were eyes to pierce into the very marrow of your bones. And he looked at the passport, and he looked at me, and he looked at the passport, and he looked at me, and he looked at the passport, and he looked at me, and I was about to scream, I confess, when suddenly he thrust the passport back into my hand and bellowed,
Charge it!
My boy, you were magnificent.
Oh, well,
I could hardly believe it was you. Why, you slapped that passport into his hand and looked at him. Why, I believe it was the most supercilious look I've ever seen.
I was scared to death.
Looking at the two of you, I would say he was scared to death.
Oh, no.
Alfred, you have no idea how commanding a presence you have once you turn it on.
Is that a fact?
Now, you see? I said to you, trust in Providence. And it always comes out right. The fact is, you were meant to see St. Petersburg, and nothing is going to stop you.
Yes, it does seem to be working so far.
My boy, this is only the beginning of a new Alfred Parrish. Parrish, the adventurer.
Oh,
You mean you wouldn't like that?
Oh, I certainly...
All it takes is confidence.
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 Confidence. All I had to do was just listen to him, and life became worth living. It was a joy. He made me feel that everything and anything was possible, that whatever I tried would have to succeed. And, oh, yes, by the time the train reached St. Petersburg, I was in what my mother would call high feather and fine form, and we took a cab to the Hotel Europa, and we walked into that lobby arm in arm.
Your passport, Major?
Here you are.
Thank you. And may I have Mr. Parrish's passport?
That's perfectly all right. The young gentleman's passport is on its way.
Major, are you saying this gentleman does not have a passport?
It's coming by mail.
But at this point, it does not exist.
It exists in a mail bag, in the mail coach, on tomorrow's Berlin-St. Petersburg Express.
But it does not exist here and now.
Is something wrong, Major? Remember what you told me. Don't take guff from these foreigners.
Yeah. Well, now look here, my man. You know me. I'll be responsible.
I wish I could accommodate you, Major.
Major, what is wrong?
He has no passport. Therefore, I must ask him to leave the premises.
Now, just a moment, my good fellow.
I cannot allow him to remain under this roof another moment.
Major, please explain to
Major,
me.
this young man is an illegal person. He has no status. He must leave. I must call the police.
Major.
I have no choice. I must call the police.
Major.
No, my friend. Surely you wouldn't do that. You couldn't. Why, a little thing like a passport that we can straighten out and
Get me the police immediately.
Major, was that word that he used, police?
Now, boy, don't get hold of yourself. Whatever you do, don't faint. Oh, my lord. Clerk, do you have some smelling salts?
In just a moment, Major, as soon as I complete this call to the police.
Police.
Has Major Jackson come to the end of his rope? Although we shouldn't put it quite that way, for if this is the end of the rope, at the end of that rope, we will find poor Alfred Parrish. Yes, a long, twisting rope that holds together a convoy of prisoners bound for the snowy wastes of Siberia. Is there hope for poor Alfred? Well, there's a third act, and I shall be here with it in just a few moments. Well, now, you know your own name, and you know who you are. But can you prove it? For instance, if you were to find yourself among strangers, your word would be meaningless. Proof of your identity could only be established by a piece of paper, which, if you consider it, is rather ironic. Given a choice of believing flesh and blood or lifeless paper and ink, we choose the document every time. How sad. How catastrophic for Alfred Parrish.
There's no need to call the police.
Major, this young man has no passport. This fact makes him a criminal. If I fail to report him, I become an accessory.
Major, what have you done to me?
Hello? Police.
I'm going to be arrested. Oh, Major, this is the end.
Never say die, my boy. Now come with me.
Where?
Quickly, out the door. Hurry. Now don't fret. It'll come out all right. Hi, there. Cab, over here.
Major, what is going to become of me? The last time I got into a cab with you...
In you go. Yeah, that's it. Cabby, Palace of the General of the Secret Police. And turn him loose, cabby. Let him go. Make him whiz.
Major, I'll never see my home again.
Nonsense. Prince Boslowski knows me. He knows me like a brother. He'll fix everything.
He will.
You know what he'll say? He'll say, you're not to worry about any of this nonsense.
Major, it's just that I heard these horrible stories.
That's ridiculous, my boy. The prince and I are old friends. He'll deny me nothing.
Impossible.
But, Your Excellency...
Out of the question.
It's such a little thing.
It cannot be done.
Major, what is he saying? What's he saying?
Oh, well, yes. My boy, he's being very sympathetic. You have nothing to worry about.
Major, I'm afraid this interview is ended.
But, Your Excellency, I will be responsible for him.
Major, I must say that you have done an insane thing to bring this lad into the country without a passport. I marvel at it. Why, it means 10 years in Siberia for him. And there is no way to prevent it. I marvel at this, Major.
What is he saying?
Start to groan.
Why?
And moan. Mama. Oh, Mama.
Why?
It might help.
And so, Major, if you'll excuse me...
Oh, Mama.
Splendid.
Oh.
Bernhardt herself couldn't beat it.
If it were anything else, if only he had been guilty of murder, arson, rape, a pardon would be a mere formality. But to be without a passport, even the Tsar himself would hesitate.
Your Excellency, all I ask is 24 hours. In that time, the passport will have arrived.
I am very sorry.
Oh, Mama.
Your Excellency, you're a father. You have a son. Can't you find it in your heart?
It was a foolhardy thing to do.
I agree.
You deserve a sharp lesson.
Without question.
All right. It's against my better judgment, and if it comes out, it could destroy my career.
God will reward you.
I give you exactly 24 hours to the minute. If the passport has not arrived, if it is not in his possession, do not dare to come near me again. It's Siberia for this young man without hope of reprieve.
My dearest mother, when these sad lines shall have reached you, your poor Alfred will be suffering a fate worse than death. Through my own fault and foolishness, I have fallen into the hands of a sharper or a lunatic. It doesn't matter which. But I think he is only mad, for he has a good, kind heart, and he tries so desperately hard to help me, but each attempt just ends in complete disaster, and in a few hours I shall be one of a nameless, hopeless horde plodding the snowy solitudes of Russia, bound for that land of misery and oblivion, Siberia, and there is no escape. An officer of the secret police sits silently in my room, watching, waiting.
Well, how'd everyone sleep? I must confess, I popped off at once. Well, Alfred, had your breakfast?
How can you think of food?
Oh, come. A hot meal will make you sing another tune.
Do you realize I am going to be sent to Siberia?
I realize nothing of the sort. Even now, your passport is on the train. It's coming here. It will arrive well ahead of schedule. There isn't a thing in the world to worry about.
And before I knew it, he had convinced me. Once again, he had convinced me that there wasn't a thing to be worried about, and there we were, sitting in the dining room of the hotel. Shouldn't the mail be in by now?
Yes, I would say the train has already arrived, the mail has been sorted, and delivery to the hotel is a matter of minutes.
In about 45 minutes, the 24 hours will be up.
Suppose we saunter over to the desk and see my old friend behind the counter.
Major, you're sure the Russian consulate in Berlin sent it?
My boy, nothing to worry about. Nothing at all.
Yes, gentlemen.
Is there any mail for me?
The mail has not arrived.
It hasn't arrived?
No, Alfred, there's nothing to be excited about. Is it due soon?
Usually comes at this time. A few minutes earlier, a few minutes later.
Hey, you see, my boy? No problem at all.
Tell me, have either of you gentlemen seen the afternoon paper? Interesting article here on the vault.
The vault?
Yes. Actually, it is a prison cell on wheels in which serious criminals are transported to Siberia.
Siberia.
The convict is placed inside, and the door is then closed. Yes, it cannot be opened again.
Be opened.
No, not until the vault arrives in Siberia.
Why not?
Well, because the only key that opens it is in Siberia.
Suppose someone is placed in there by mistake.
Well, I would say it's his hard luck. He can't be taken out until he reaches Siberia. But the chances are he wouldn't get there alive anyhow.
Alfred?
I don't feel so good.
Confidence, my boy, confidence. The mail will be delivered at any moment, and all your troubles will be over.
Excuse me?
Telephone.
Yes. Front desk? Yes. Was that? Oh, I see. Thank you. Goodbye. Well, gentlemen, if you're waiting for the mail, I'm sorry to disappoint you. The Berlin train has been delayed.
Wait, what are you saying?
You had an accident on the track.
The mail. The mail must be delivered, don't you understand?
Well, it will be delivered, but 3 hours late.
3 hours? I don't have 3 hours. I'm done for.
No, my boy, chin up. I'll think of something.
They'll put me in, you heard him, the vault. The vault, it's a steel wagon dragged to Siberia like an animal in a cage.
I've got it.
No, what do you've got? It's no use. Nobody can help me. Nothing can help me. Siberia.
Forget the passport.
What do you forget the passport?
Cheer up. We can do without it. Guards, come along. We're headed for the American embassy. I had that card up my sleeve all the time. The minister knows me. We were wounded together at Cold Harbor. Been chums ever since.
Major, you wouldn't hold out false hope to a poor condemned...
Everything's splendid. Our troubles are at an end. If we ever really had any, we are going to get you a new passport.
Well, I am only secretary of the legation, you see, and I wouldn't like to authorize a passport while the minister is on Russian soil. You have no idea of the responsibility.
All right, send for the minister.
Well, that's easier said. You see, he's up in the wilds somewhere on his vacation.
Great Scott!
What are you great Scotting about, Major? The prince gave you 24 hours. You've got an hour and a half left. The train is just due. The passport will arrive in time.
The train is expected to be 3 hours late. This lad's life is ebbing away. In that half hour, he's the same as dead and damned to eternity.
I am?
Oh, I see the ghastliness of the situation, but what can I do?
Hang it. Write him a passport.
But it's impossible. It's totally impossible. How do we know who he is? Now, you yourself only met him 2 days ago. So, you see, there is no way in the world to identify him. Oh, he's lost. There is no possibility of saving him.
Now, look here.
Now, the rules say identification must be positive. Now, would you want me to make a mistake and lose my job?
Oh, Lord, it's the last day on this earth for Alfred Parrish.
I will be responsible.
Wait. Shh, wait. Is your name Alfred Parrish?
Yes.
And, where are you from?
Bridgeport.
Bridgeport. Oh, yeah, were you born there?
No. New Haven.
Mr. Secretary, is it possible that you...
No, I must be positive. How long did you live in New Haven?
Till I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I came back 2 years ago to enter Yale.
When you lived in New Haven, what street?
What street?
Yes.
What street? It was Parker Street.
Mr. Secretary, If you can identify him, please do so.
I must be positive beyond the shadow of a doubt.
But time is running out. The secret police will soon drag him out.
What number, Parker Street?
What number?
Think, lad. Think. The clock is moving.
Well, it didn't have a number.
Ha. There. Shouldn't that...
Now, what kind of house was it?
Brick, a 2-story.
A flush with the sidewalk?
Small yard in the front.
Iron fence?
No palings.
Mr. Secretary, there's almost no time left.
Now, what do you see when you enter the door?
What is the difference? What do you want to torture me? I'm as good as dead.
What do you see?
I don't. A narrow hall, door at the end, right? Hat rack.
Parlor?
Yes.
Mr. Secretary, when the clock strikes 6, this boy will be arrested and lost to all the world.
Carpet on the floor?
Yes.
Now, what kind?
Old-fashioned Wilton.
Design?
Oh, hawking party on horseback.
Room next to the parlor?
Dining room.
Did your parents own or rent the house?
We owned it.
Did you have a nickname among your playmates?
Answer him. Mr. Secretary, surely by this time you ought to know.
Sir, we have clearly defined procedures. Now, did you have a nickname?
Well, they called me Miss Nancy.
Surely, sir, that should be sufficient.
Any ornaments in the dining room?
No.
None at all?
Think, lad, think. You have less than a minute.
You mean there wasn't even a picture?
Oh, but you said ornament.
Yes. And what did your father think of the picture? Speak.
Yes, Alfred, speak.
I can't tell you what he said.
You must.
Quick, we're almost out of time.
Home and liberty.
Oh, have pity.
Or death in Siberia depend on your answer.
Well, have pity. He's a clergyman.
Out with it. What did he say?
He said it was the hell-firedest damn nightmare he ever saw.
Saved! Oh, I will write you a passport. I can now legitimately identify you beyond any shadow of a doubt. I have lived in that house, and I painted that picture myself.
Saved. Give thanks, my fortunate friend. You see, I told you, trust in Providence, and let us be grateful to God that he made this artist, if indeed he really did.
Did Alfred have a good time in St. Petersburg? We don't know. Mark Twain doesn't say. And although what he writes is always fascinating, what he doesn't write is, in many cases, even more so. For instance, who is Major Jackson? And why? A most mysterious man. But this spot on the dial is the place where such people are encountered. I shall be back shortly. Stories must have heroes and villains, and Mark Twain's tales are filled with a great many of each. But not all villains are actually conscious of their villainy. It is possible for the greatest crimes to be performed by fairly decent people in the routine performance of their legitimate duties. But you'll find nothing routine here at this spot on your dial, 7 times each week. Our cast included Robert Morse, Robert Dryden, Russell Horton, Earl Hammond, and Dan Ocko. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The preceding program was broadcast with the permission of the Columbia Broadcasting System. Broadcast permission for the following program is made possible by the Columbia Broadcasting System.
The CBS Radio Mystery Theater presents... Come in. Welcome. I'm E.G. Marshall. Didn't Sophocles say, "The gods hate utterly the bray of bragging tongues"? And haven't we also been taught that pride goeth before destruction? Certainly, the prophets and the sages and the poets have had enough to say about the besetting sin of pride. Why, then, is pride so prevalent? The subject intrigued Mark Twain so deeply that he created one of the deadliest stories about pride ever written.
Do you realize, Edward, it's $40,000?
But it's not ours.
Well, no one can prove that.
Mary, it's wrong. I never took anything in my life that wasn't mine.
Neither did I. Maybe that's our trouble.
But we still have our good name.
And our debts.
How can we possibly steal?
It's very simple, Edward. Hide the money and use it when we want to.
No, it can't be that easy.
It is, Edward. It is.
Our mystery drama, The Man That Corrupted Hadleyburg, was adapted from the Mark Twain classic especially for the Mystery Theater by Sam Dann and stars Fred Gwynn. I'll be back shortly with Act One. According to Mark Twain, you could cheat just about anybody. Back along the turn of the century, there was a town called Hadleyburg, which advertised itself as the most honest and upright place in the world. Incorruptible Hadleyburg, envied by its neighbors. And yet, one day, untainted, irreproachable Hadleyburg fell from grace. How did it happen? May I introduce you to Jack Halliday?
I knew it would happen one day, and I said so, but nobody listened to me. After all, I was only the editor of the Hadleyburg Gazette, and it was a paper that lost money. So what did I know about anything? Anyhow, putting the story together, here's what happened. One night, old man Richards, who works at the bank, he's one of the 19. I'll tell you who they are later. If I have to stop to explain everything at the beginning, I'll never get started. Well, old man Richards and his wife Mary are having supper.
Edward, I know you're tired, dear, but you must have your supper.
I'm not hungry. I'm so clear worn out. You know, Mary, it's hard to be poor at our time of life. Grinding away at a salary, another man's slave.
Oh, but Edward, we have our good name.
Yes. And that's everything. Don't mind my talk. It's just a moment's irritation. It doesn't mean anything. Who's that?
Someone's at the door.
Who would knock at this hour?
You sit, Edward, and finish your supper. I'll see who it is.
Who is it, Mary, dear?
What? That's strange. There's no one here.
But we distinctly heard someone knock.
Edward.
What is it?
Come here, quickly. Edward, look.
Look at what?
On the doorstep, this bundle.
It's a sack.
Oh, what does it mean?
It means someone left a sack on our doorstep.
Yes, but for what reason?
Well, let's bring it inside and find out. Here, let me. Oh, Mary, I can't lift it.
Oh, well, now what do you suppose can be in it?
There's a piece of paper attached to it. Here, let me put on my spectacles.
Oh, Edward, what does it say?
It says, to be published or the right man to be sought out by private inquiry Either will answer. This sack contains gold coin weighing 160 pounds and 4 ounces.
Edward!
Help me. Help me drag it inside.
Oh, mercy on us.
Quickly. Shut the door, Mary. Lock it.
Oh, my. Oh, Edward. What do you suppose?
The paper. The paper. There's more written on it.
Oh?
I was a gambler. A ruined gambler.
Oh.
I arrived at Hadleyburg late at night, starving and in rags. I begged for help, and I luckily begged of the right man. He gave me $20. He also gave me life and hope. I returned to the gambling table.
Oh, Edward, who would have given a stranger $20?
I became rich, and I remembered a remark he made. It gave me the inspiration to reform, and I have. I don't know who that man was, but I want him found, and I want him to have the money in this sack.
Oh, Edward, can you imagine how much money there is in there?
I would find him myself, but I cannot remain here. But this is an honest, incorruptible town, and I can trust you folks to help me.
Well, how can we help?
The man can be identified by the remark he made to me when he gave me the $20.
Oh?
Please publish or reveal what I have told you so far to anyone who you think might be the right man. If he says, yes, I was that man, and the remark I made was such and such, open the sack, and inside you will find a sealed envelope with the remark. If he has made the correct statement, give him the gold.
Oh, can you imagine, Edward? All that gold.
You may publish what I have revealed to you in your local paper and add the following instructions. 30 days from now, let the candidate appear at the town hall and hand his remark in a sealed envelope to the Reverend Mr. Burgess, and have the Reverend Mr. Burgess destroy the seals, open the sack, and verify the remark.
Someone in this town befriended a stranger, gave him $20, and now... And now...
And now that man who set his bread afloat upon the waters shall become rich.
Oh, Edward, was it...
Was I that man? Was I that benefactor?
Yes.
No, Mary, no.
Oh, well, just as well. We could never accept that gold anyway. It was gamblers' money.
We must make the inquiry public. All the other towns will be sick with envy, because no stranger would ever trust such a thing to any other town but Hadleyburg. Let me run over and tell Jack Halliday.
I didn't believe him till I came running back to the house with him. And there was the sack, and there was the letter, just as you've already heard it. Well, you remember I said Edward Richards was one of the 19? Sure. There are 19 leading citizens of Hadleyburg. Ed Richards is the least of them. The poorest, the most unimportant. He just about makes it under the wire. Well, these 19 set the tone and spirit of Hadleyburg. The 19 uncorruptibles. Just keep them in mind. Well, I said to Ed and Mary Richards, let's get this money right over to the bank and have old Pinkerton put it right in the vault. And we roused him out of bed, and he did it. And the whole town turned out. Everyone became so excited. You can imagine. Anyhow, poor old Edward Richards finally went home.
I think I know who that man was, Edward, who gave the stranger the $20. Barclay Goodson.
Yes. Yes, you may be right, Mary. It would have been like Barclay. May he rest in peace.
Do you remember what he said about this town? It may have been honest, but it was narrow and self-righteous and stingy.
And I remember how he was hated for it, too. I guess he was the best hated man around here, except for Reverend Burgess.
Former Reverend Burgess. Wait. Doesn't it seem odd that the stranger should have appointed Reverend Burgess to deliver the money?
Mary, Burgess isn't a bad man.
Oh, nonsense. He would still be a minister if he
hadn't... It was all because of the rumor of his being with that woman.
Well, he was guilty.
No. No, Mary, he wasn't. He was innocent.
Edward, what are you saying?
Mary, I was the only man who knew he was innocent.
What?
I could have saved him, but, well, you know how wrought up the whole town was. It would have turned everyone against me. I just didn't have the courage.
Oh, I see.
I have another confession, Mary. When there was talk of riding him out of town on a rail, I sneaked over to his house and warned him to leave until things cooled off.
Oh, Edward, if anyone had found out...
It scares me yet. Everybody thought it was Goodson who warned him. And when folks started to mumble about him, Goodson buckled on his .45 and invited them to state their case to his face.
Oh, that was just like Goodson. The way it was like Goodson to give that $20 to a tramp.
Why are we so sure it was Goodson?
It couldn't have been anyone else. Oh, why didn't we keep the gold?
Mary.
Why didn't you realize we could never find the right man because he's dead and buried in his grave?
Do you realize what
As
you're...
long as the money would go to someone who needed it as badly as we do, who would have been hurt?
You know how we've been raised. How we've been shielded against all temptation. Till it's absolutely second nature not to hesitate for a moment when an honest thing has to be done.
Oh, I know. But it's an artificial honesty and as weak as water when temptation really comes, as we have seen this night.
Mary, there's no use
Oh,
going...
Lord knows I never had any doubt about my indestructible honesty. Until this minute.
Now, dear, you mustn't go on this...
Edward, I know exactly what you're thinking right now.
You do?
You are thinking, if a body could only guess what the remark was that Goodson made to the stranger.
Yes. And I feel ashamed about it.
Well, that's what I'm thinking myself.
If only we could guess.
Maybe we don't have to guess.
What?
We're all creatures of habit, Edward.
Yes, I suppose that's...
You can almost predict what a person would say in a given situation. Now, take Mr. Pinkerton, the banker. Suppose a beggar were to ask him for charity. What would he say?
Why isn't an able-bodied man like you gainfully employed?
Exactly. Now, think of Goodson. What were some of the things Goodson used to say?
But, Mary...
Think. Now, think, what were Goodson's best-known remarks about charity, for instance?
Mary, even if I could remember, that's no guarantee that Goodson would have made the exact same statement on this particular night. Would it do any good?
Yes. Because then you would write it down on a piece of paper, seal it in an envelope, and hand it over to the Reverend Mr. Burgess.
And suppose Mr. Burgess then breaks open the seal, and it comes out that what I claim he said wasn't the remark at all.
Well, nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Do you realize the whole town will be there? The whole county, the whole state? I would be disgraced.
Oh, you could brazen it out.
Mary, I'd be terrified.
The money. Oh, the thought of all that money is driving us out of our minds.
Mary, why don't we just go to sleep?
Sleep? Oh, are you going to be able to sleep? You know what we're going to keep asking ourselves?
Yes. Yes. What could he have said?
Yes.
What could Goodson have said to the stranger?
What could he have said? I was also sure it was Goodson. Goodson had to be the benefactor. But what did he say to the stranger? Well, if you think that only Edward and Mary Richards were plagued by the question, let me tell you they had plenty of company. No one was getting any sleep in any of the houses of the incorruptible 19. For instance, Lawyer Wilson.
What could he have said?
Hay, feed, and grain merchant Benson.
What could he have said?
Go down the list. Robert Titmarsh, Eliphalet Weeks, Archibald Wilcox, Ingoldsby's sergeant.
What could he have said? What did he say? What could he have said?
It was the only topic of conversation. The 19 incorruptibles, starting with Banker Pinkerton on top and ending with poor Edward Richards on bottom, walked about with white and drawn faces, as if each of them was feverishly figuring out a way to get at that money. A head of steam was building higher and higher and fiercer and fiercer. Sooner or later, it would have to bust.
And it did. You know perfectly well that what we have here is a situation where an irresistible force is about to encounter some highly movable objects. Incorruptible Hadleyburg is in for a workout. Is Mary Richards correct in her analysis? Will the town's reputation collapse under its first real test? It may. It may not. Just wait here till I return with Act 2. Why do you climb a mountain? Because it's there, is the usual answer. And in this case, the simplicity of the reply contains a universal truth. Nature abhors a vacuum. The very fact that something exists can motivate someone to do something about it. Here you have Mark Twain's town of Hadleyburg. It has a reputation for honesty. This fact by itself is enough to inspire someone to try to destroy the reputation. Jack Halliday continues our story.
I wish I could tell you what went on in Hadleyburg as the weeks went by, and that fateful Friday drew near. Everybody from Hadleyburg was walking around with a long face. Everyone agreed that the benefactor had to be Goodson. But one thing kind of intrigued me. Why was Reverend Burgess named as the judge or referee or whatever? Burgess, who'd been treated so shabbily by the town. Could all this be a trick on Burgess's part to get even? Reverend, I think I've been your friend.
Yes, Jack, you have.
How do you figure in this sack of gold business?
I have no idea.
When Goodson was alive, you two were close.
Well, I suppose we were kindred spirits.
Reverend, you know more than you're telling. I'm convinced of it.
Why is everyone so sure the benefactor is Goodson?
Well, who but Goodson would give a stranger $20? Oh, now, wait. You would, Reverend Burgess. You would.
Well, for that matter, Jack, so would you.
Where would I ever get $20?
If you had it, you'd give it away. And for that matter, so would poor, timid little Edward Richards. Think about it.
I thought about it. And the more I thought, the less sure I was of anything. Meanwhile, as I found out later, the mailman had been to the Richards home and left behind a letter. And what a letter.
Dear Mr. Richards, I have just returned from Europe and heard about the event in your town of Hadleyburg. You don't know who made that remark, but I do. It was Goodson.
Ah, do you see, Edward?
Shh. We were old friends. That night I passed through your town, and Goodson waited with me at the railroad station. Some tramp approached him and asked for a handout. I saw him give the man the money, and I heard what he said.
Edward, why would this man write...
After the tramp left, Goodson and I talked till my train arrived. He mentioned practically all of his fellow townsmen, and I could tell he actively disliked most of them.
Oh, that does sound like Goodson.
He did mention your name as a rare exception.
Oh?
He said you had done him a good turn once, and that possibly you may not have realized the full value of it.
What was that, Edward?
He said he wished he had a fortune so that he could leave it to you. Well, then, in that case, if you really did him that service, you are his legitimate heir and are entitled to the gold.
Oh.
I trust to your honor and honesty as a citizen of Hadleyburg. I will reveal to you the remark that Goodson made. This is it. You are far from being a bad man. Go and reform. Very truly yours, Howard L. Stevens.
Oh, Edward, the money is ours.
Mary, do you realize I'll have to tell a lie?
What lie?
I'll have to claim that I was the one that gave the $20 to the stranger.
Oh, that's a technicality. Edward, you read what this Mr. Stevenson said. Well, you do deserve the gold, and so...
And why do I deserve the gold?
Why? Because, as Mr. Stevenson pointed out, you did Mr. Goodson a good turn once.
No.
What do you mean, no?
I don't remember ever having done Goodson a good turn.
Oh, come, you're always helping people.
No, I remember. I did Burgess, a good turn, but not Goodson. I never had anything at all to do with Barclay Goodson. I was afraid to be seen with them.
Oh, think.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Mary, I know all this honesty Hadleyburg brags about is a fraud, but I'm too old, and I'm too tired, and maybe I'm too frightened to change my ways, and I just won't have anything to do with it anymore.
Edward.
No, it's my very last word on the subject.
Well, that's how it was at that point with Ed and Mary Richards. That letter bore an out-of-state postmark. But do you want to know something extremely interesting about that letter? It came in 19 copies. 19. And that letter was delivered to 19 homes in the village of Hadleyburg. Each and every one of the 19 incorruptibles received it.
Dear Mr. Wilson, I have just returned from Europe.
Dear Mr. Benson, that night I passed through your town. You're far from being a bad man. Go and reform. Good morning, Jack.
Well, Mr. Benson.
Jack, I've been thinking. I don't advertise enough.
I agree.
I always held if you sell hay, feed, and grain, folks will come and buy what they need anyhow.
But now you've changed your mind and you want to advertise.
Yeah, you guessed it, Jack.
What's gotten into you?
Well, we got all those strangers in town on account of, you know what.
Benson, what's really on your mind?
Jack, the reporters keep asking me questions about myself, you know.
And?
Well, I don't know what to tell them.
Well, just tell them the truth.
Well, I do. But it sounds kind of stuffy.
I guess it would.
Yes. So, what I was thinking, Jack, was that you might write me a kind of short autobiography.
Benson, you're an old fraud.
Oh, Jack, you know all about me, and I'm willing to pay
All right, Benson, but I'm warning you. I intend to get to the bottom of this.
Jack.
Well, if it isn't old Lawyer Wilson himself. Your old rival, Benson, was just here.
Hey, really?
Now, what can I do for you?
Well,
Do you want me to write your autobiography?
No, not at the moment, Jack. I want to arrange for some advertising.
Well, I believe it isn't ethical for lawyers to advertise in this state.
Oh, well, I wouldn't dream of advertising my law practice.
Oh, you wouldn't? Well, what would you advertise?
My intention of running for the state senate.
Say that again.
I said I intend to run for the state senate.
Oh, come on, Wilson. Who'd vote for you?
I have every prospect of victory.
You're the most unpopular man in town.
I don't know about that. I think people will be eager to vote for me.
Oh, do you? Well, why on earth should anyone even dream of voting for you?
Now, how much does a full page cost?
I'd never seen such a change in the atmosphere. Everybody walked around with a smile. Everybody seemed to have a new lease on life. That is, everybody among the 19 Hadleyburg incorruptibles. Why, even Mrs. Inglesby Sargent, who came in to give me the full information on a church supper, seemed to be bursting.
And don't forget to write, Jack, that everyone is to bring a covered dish.
I never forget.
Jack, I'm thinking of ordering some special cards.
Oh, yes?
You know the Sheridan Mansion? Well, I think I finally convinced Inglesby to buy it.
Well, that would take a lot of money.
Oh, that's not going to be a problem very much longer.
Oh, it isn't? Why not?
Oh, that would be telling. Jack, a simple, tasteful engraved card to read Mr. and Mrs. Inglesby Sargent at home, at number 1, Sheridan Place. Oh, do you suppose we could change the name of the square to Sargent Place if we own the property?
I know how much money it takes to buy that mansion, and if you've got all of it, you can afford to do anything. It made no sense at all. I couldn't account for it. What was the sudden outburst of sunshine and roses among all the 19? Bright plans, extravagant spending. Had all these people lost their minds? Only one person seemed unchanged. Edward Richards.
Mary, leave me in peace.
Edward, no, the money is rightfully ours.
But I keep telling you, I didn't do any service at all for Goodson.
And I keep telling you, it may have been some tiny, picayune thing that you can't even remember.
Don't weaken my resolve.
Goodson befriended a stranger in the presence of a witness.
Mary.
And in so doing, he made a remark. The witness, a friend of Goodson's, remembering that Goodson felt kindly to you, wants to do you a good turn. Now, that's all there is.
Yeah, I could believe it. I could accept it if...
If what?
If I could ever remember doing Goodson a good turn.
Oh, Edward, you must have.
What? How?
Well, things are relative.
Oh, please, Mary.
Oh, did you ever say hello to Goodson on the street?
Well, of course.
Well, that's a good turn.
That's
Did most people ever greet Goodson? Smile, say hello, tip their hats, shake hands, or stop to chat?
Hardly anyone. No, I didn't either. I just...
Yes?
I just smiled and nodded.
And that was enough. Oh, don't you see, Edward, that little bit.
Mary.
As Goodson said, you wouldn't know the value of it. Now, who else would say hello to Goodson? Oh, Edward, can't you see the hand of Providence? Oh, come, dear, right. Right, you are far from being a bad man. Go and reform.
Mary, do you think I should?
I think you should. And you think you should. Now, all we need is the paper, the pen, and an envelope.
Yes, indeed, that's all you need. People do become a bit erratic, not to mention unhinged, at the prospect of a fortune in gold, or anything else, for that matter. Well, here goes incorruptible Hadleyburg. Can we salvage anything? The cleanup begins when I bring you Act 3 in just a few moments. You are far from being a bad man. Go and reform. Such a phrase is worth in the neighborhood of $40,000, which may be small potatoes today, but it was certainly a bumper crop about 80 years ago. The question is, how many people know that phrase, and how many of them are willing to utter it? For this information, we need to hear from Jack Halliday, the local editor.
The town hall never looked finer. The place was festooned with all kinds of flags and bunting. You'd think it was the 4th of July. The sack of gold sat on a table in the center of the stage, and it made mouths water all over the house. Finally, Mr. Burgess was introduced, the Reverend Mr. Burgess. Everyone in town loved him now, and he spoke without rancor, as if nothing had happened.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have here in my pocket an envelope.
Mary, I'm scared.
What's to be scared
which
about?
I shall open. And here is the letter inside.
Mary, that's on blue paper. We didn't use blue paper.
And it reads as follows. The remark which I made to the poor distressed stranger was, "You are very far from being a very bad man. Go and reform." Signed, Jeremiah Bilson.
What?
Jeremiah Bilson? Oh, I don't believe it.
Mary, did you hear something?
Order, please, order. I see that Mr. Wilson is also on his feet. Why do you rise, Mr. Wilson?
Because you called my name.
No, sir, no. I read the name Bilson, which is signed here. I, Jeremy Bilson, signed that letter. You, Wilson, are a liar and a fraud.
I'm the one who befriended that poor stranger, Mr. Chairman. I wrote you a letter myself. I, William Wilson.
Just a moment. It seems I have another envelope in my pocket.
That's it. That's mine.
All right, then. I shall read it. The remark I made was, You are far from being a bad man. Go and reform. Signed, William Wilson.
Both lies. Terrible.
Who's lying? Who's lying? They're both lying. He's lying. Mr. Burgess. Mr. Burgess.
Order, please.
Mr. Burgess.
The chair recognizes Jack Halliday.
Both of them couldn't have made the same remark. Both of them didn't. Mr. Benson said, you are very far from being a very bad man. Wilson said, you are far from being a bad man. No, very. Therefore, you should open the sack, sir, and read what the test remark is.
Very well. With your permission, ladies and gentlemen, I hereby break the seals and open the sack.
Mary, what have we done? Do you suppose he has our letter in his pocket?
I find here 2 envelopes. One is marked the test remark. On the other it says, not to be opened until all written communications addressed to the chair have been read.
Let's hear the test remark, Mr. Burgess.
This is what the benefactor claims he said. You are far from being a bad man. Go and reform.
That settles it. That's exactly what I said. And Benson is a liar and a fraud, and I'll tell you how...
Mr. Wilson, you're out of order.
No, I insist. I am the man who befriended the stranger. I know what I said. I was in my office writing this note to you, Mr. Burgess, when Benson came in on business, and he may have seen the note on my desk, and therefore copied...
That's an infamous lie.
Yes, and he couldn't even copy it correctly.
Order, gentlemen, order. Neither of you has quoted the remark correctly. Order, please. The full remark is, you are far from being a bad man. Go and reform, or, mark my words, someday for your sins you will die and go to hell or Hadleyburg, and try to make it the former.
That's the hallmark on it, eh?
Order!
Mr. Chairman, 2 out of 19 incorruptibles have succumbed to temptation, I think. Our fair town of Hadleyburg now has a new image.
I will sue any man who impugns my honesty.
Mr. Chairman, I move we adjourn this meeting.
We cannot do so at this point, Mr. Halliday.
Why not?
Because we have other claimants for the prize. I have received a number of letters. Perhaps one of them can repeat the true remark.
Oh, Mary, we're doomed. We'll be disgraced.
Letter number 3. You are far from being a bad man. Signed, Inglesby Sergeant. You are far from being a very bad man.
Which incorruptible is that?
Nicholas Whitworth. You are very far from being a very bad man.
Well, it became a picnic after that. The house was in hysterics. One by one, the incorruptibles were stripped naked. Figuratively speaking, that is.
Mary, we're going to be disgraced. Oh, Mary, why did we do it?
I don't know whatever got into me, Edward. Oh, forgive me.
He's saving us for last. I know it. Oh, Mary, all I ever had was my good name. Now, I don't even have that.
Oh, pray. That's all we have left. Pray that Burgess will be merciful.
Yes, let us pray.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe that's all.
Mr. Burgess, how many of those letters did you receive?
19.
Well, sir, I've been holding count, and you only read 18.
Oh, did I? Well, I must have been mistaken. I guess it was only 18.
18? We have 19 incorruptibles in Hadleyburg. But only one of them is the genuine article. Only one is truly as advertised. I propose a cheer for the cleanest man in town. The only so-called important citizen who didn't try to steal that money. Edward Richards.
And now I shall read the other letter in the sack. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no test remark. Nobody ever made one.
What?
Order, please. Order. There was no beggar, no contribution. At one time, I passed through your town. I was offended by your lofty, snobbish pretensions. I was insulted by your overbearing vanity. I decided to discover if your vaunted integrity was genuine. And now you have seen what I have done. I'm sure I caught every last man to whom I wrote that letter tipping off the test remark.
That's right. He did, down to the last man.
Well, the contents of the sack belong to all who claimed it.
Now, wait a minute. You mean these sharpers get the gold after all?
Order, please, ladies and gentlemen. I must abide by the instructions. And so I shall now cut open the sack and distribute the contents among...
What is it, Mr. Burgess?
Friends, this isn't gold. These are just gilded pieces of lead.
Mr. Chairman! Mr. Chairman!
Yes, Jack.
Mr. Chairman, I propose we auction off the sack and give the proceeds to the one honest, incorruptible left. Ed Richards.
Second the emotion. Let's do it. Come on.
All right.
May I speak? My name is Stevenson.
Mary, it's that Mr. Stevenson.
Stevenson?
Oh, do any of you gentlemen know me? I am a collector in rare coins and curiosities. And I think I might buy this collection. And on it, engrave the names of the 18 incorruptibles.
Sir, I am an attorney, and I warn you, I will sue you to within an inch of your life.
I beg you, sir, not to threaten me. I know my rights. You and anyone else can prevent me from gaining possession by outbidding me. $1,000. 2, 3.
Keep it up, gentlemen. Keep it up.
4.
Remember, the proceeds go to Ed and Mary Richards. Finest, most honest.
7.
Do I hear 8? Do I hear 8?
10,000.
10,000.
Mary,
10,000.
I must confess.
Edward, I don't know what to tell you.
I won't be tempted again. I won't.
Listen to the bidding. It's so much money. We could be comfortable for the rest of our lives.
Mary, I should confess, but I can't. Burgess, why did he save me to...
Maybe
Why?
he lost the letter.
25.
I'm going to confess.
$36,000.
37. 37, I hear.
Hey, will the auctioneer grant a slight intermission? I must consult with...
We will have a 10-minute intermission. During which time the 18 incorruptibles got together to pool their resources, and finally they bought the sack for $50,000.
Oh, Edward, I'm exhausted.
Well, finally we can go to bed.
Oh, but I won't be able to sleep.
I know. $50,000.
Oh,
Mary, I can't believe what happened.
we'll be given the check in the morning. You'll believe it then.
Suppose
Suppose what?
this is Mr. Burgess's way of getting revenge. He was accused of adultery, but I knew it was a lie. I could have saved his reputation. I didn't.
Edward.
No, Mary. Now he's waiting. Don't you see? He's toying with me. Let the town praise me, and then he'll produce that letter and destroy me.
Edward, you don't know that.
No, I'm going to confess everything.
Where are you going?
Out. I'm going to tell everyone I see that I tried to steal the money, too.
Edward!
We thought he was mad. He went through the streets bareheaded, without a coat, stopping people, knocking at doors. We thought the ordeal had been too much for him. But no, he convinced us. And then Hadleyburg really fell. Our last incorruptible was gone. Literally. Because that night he caught the fever that killed him. And I was with him at his last hour. The Reverend Burgess came to visit.
Edward, I would never have betrayed you.
You would. You would have.
I destroyed the letter you sent. I wanted to save you. You, after all, saved my life once by warning me.
No. You were angry with me because I could have cleared your name. But you see, I was afraid, and you hated me for it. You were waiting for revenge.
Poor Edward. You couldn't have cleared me. You had no real evidence to offer. You see, I was to blame. I was guilty. Like everyone else, I'm only human. Like everyone else, I too could be tempted. Hadleyburg is a well-corrupted village.
I guess there isn't an awful lot more to tell. Hadleyburg had its name changed by special permission of the legislature. And what its new one is, I won't say. But we're a town now, like other towns. Neither better or worse. But at least we're human, which is about as good or as bad a thing as you can say about anyone. Thank you kindly for your attention.
And thank you, Jack Halliday. This has been a visit into the Mark Twain country of Hadleyburg. And you can find a Hadleyburg almost anywhere you look, even in your own hometown. And you can look for me to be back here in just a few moments. Temptation. The temptation of the flesh and the temptations of the spirit. Who can withstand them? We human beings are so ill-equipped. We have so many desires, so many conceits, so much vanity. And so every time you deplore a justifiably condemnable offense, take consolation in this one thought. Given the foibles of the human race, we can be glad things aren't a lot worse. Mark Twain settled for that. Our cast included Fred Gwynn, Ralph Bell, Joan Shay, Earl Hammond, and Court Benson. The entire production was under the direction of Hyman Brown. This is E.G. Marshall inviting you to return to our Mystery Theater for another adventure in the macabre. Until next time, pleasant dreams.
The preceding program was broadcast with the permission of the Columbia Broadcasting System.